Let me ask you something. Why do some real estate investors stay invisible, struggling to raise even 100 grand in private money, while others build credibility so strong that private lenders literally are chasing them? Why do some people talk about raising money and others actually magnetize private money? Well, today we are breaking open that gap because in this episode, I'm bringing on a guy who has mastered one of the most overlooked and most profitable skills for raising private money. And that is getting attention the right way, not hype, not fake expertise, actual authority that attracts real capital. His name is Nicky Billou, and the name may sound familiar to you. It's because this man is a machine when it comes to helping entrepreneurs turn their message into leads, clients, and influence. Nicky's the best-selling author of 11 books, including 2 New York Times bestsellers. He's the host of The Thought Leader Revolution, the #1 podcast on thought leadership, where he's interviewed giants like Jack Canfield, Dr. Robert Cialdini, John Maxwell, Barbara Corcoran, and some of the sharpest business operators on the planet. He's also an immigrant from the Middle East who built his life and his mission around freedom, personal agency, and unleashing people's potential. And when Nicky talks about belief and credibility, about standing out, he's not theorizing. He's actually lived it and has got the experience. Now, today, we're tapping into Nicky's brain to answer one core question, and that is, how can real estate investors use the power of messaging and podcast guesting to raise more private money for their real estate than they ever thought possible? Well, welcome to Raising Private Money. This is the only podcast for real estate investors who want to fund their deals without relying on banks or credit or using their own cash. I'm Jay Conner, the Private Money Authority, and I'll show you how to get private lenders begging to fund your next deal, because every good deal starts with the money. In just a moment, you're going to meet my friend, Nicky Billou, right after this.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Conner.
Nicky, welcome to the show.
Jay, thanks for having me, man. It's an honor to be here.
I'm excited to have you, man. Nicky, you talk a lot about attention creates opportunity. That's your words. Attention creates opportunity. So let's bring it home to real estate investors and private money. For real estate investors, what's the connection between visibility and raising private money faster?
That's a great question. So, Jay, one of the things that I've seen out there is that people today, in order to be relevant, need to be seen, right? They need to be known. They need to be understood as an authority in their space, whatever that space happens to be. And if you're a real estate investor and you're looking to fund projects, for you to be able to do that, you've got to be seen as an authority, kind of like you are, Jay. You're the private money authority, right? So these folks need to be seen as an authority by the types of folks that they want to invest in their projects. And for a lot of these folks, they're grinding, they're pushing, they're going after the same pool of money, and they're not able to get access to it quite the same way that those people that magnetize money to themselves are. And the reason is because they're not known, okay? How do you become known? Well, one of the best ways to become known is for you to be a guest on other people's podcasts. Let me give you an example from the world of politics. And I know this is not a political show, and I'm not making any political judgments over here. But about a year ago, there was an election held in the United States, and all the polls were showing that there was going to be one candidate winning, Miss Harris from the Democrats, And instead, Mr. Trump from the Republicans, even though he was not leading in any polls, ended up winning that election. And he won by nearly 3 million votes. Why is that? Well, he had an advisor, his son Barron, who told him, Dad, you need to go on podcasts because a lot of the people that need to know who you are, need to understand why they should vote for you, don't know a lot about you. They're getting their news from mainstream media sources, but they listen to podcasts, and that's where they can get to know you. So he went on Joe Rogan. He went on Theo Vaughn. He went on X Spaces with Elon Musk, Nelk Boys, et cetera, et cetera. There were 500 million views of him on those podcasts, and we estimate that he won an additional 4.5 million votes as a result of being on those shows. If he had not gone on those shows and he hadn't won those 4.5 million votes, he would have lost because he only won the election by 2.9 million votes. Now you're going, Nicky, that's great. Good for Trump, but what does that have to do with me? Well, if you're an investor and you're looking to raise money and you're grinding and you're having a hard time getting access to that money, podcasts are a great place for you because they're a long-form conversation where you get to showcase who you are as a human being, where you get to showcase your expertise, and where people get to have a relationship built with you. And those relationships that you build both with the host and the audience make it possible for you to generate additional attention, which means additional opportunity for you to be able to do business and raise money.
And there's your quote again, attention creates opportunity. It also seems to me that attention creates trustworthiness. Now, you are known as the authority on using podcast guesting to generate leads, generate revenue. So you sort of touched on this, but I want to go even deeper. How can the average, and there's the key word right there, average real estate investor, and they don't think of themselves, they don't view themselves as a thought leader. How can they still use podcast guesting to attract private lenders?
That, my friend, is a spectacular question. So, Jay, think about this. Most people that are in business have lived life for a certain period of time. Would you agree with that? They're over the age of 40, most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. Fair?
Yep.
Fair? So, through life, every human being that you have met, that I have met, who's lived at least 40 years on this planet, has gone through at least one or two adversities. Fair?
Some of us more than one or two.
Some of us more than one or two, like maybe all of us, but we'll just say at least one or two. What do these adversities do? Each adversity is a gift from God. It's happening for you, not to you. That adversity forges you in fire. It teaches you lessons that simple book learning and everything going your way would never teach you. That series of lessons that those adversities teach you make you an expert, make you someone who knows how to deal with things. Your job title is not your expertise. It's the adversities of life that are your expertise. And one of the things that I teach, Jay, is I actually have a full 3-day immersive program to help you study your favorite subject, and go deep into your life story, the adversities you've had, and extract from there what your real expertise is, which is not your job title, and then use that to create how you serve and help people. That may be right now something that you don't do professionally. It just may be that you naturally do it and you don't charge money for it. And I'll tell you something. I'll give you an example of a particular individual that we worked with. Okay. There was a gentleman that we worked with who had worked in policy in Washington, D.C., both domestic and foreign policy. Very bright, brainy guy, right? This dude has what he calls a personal PhD. Once a year, he delves deep into a subject and he just studies everything on it. And he's like as smart as a PhD. He wanted to get in the world of coaching special forces alumni. So people who had served in the Marine Raiders, Navy SEALs, Delta Force, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he said, well, I never served in any of those. How am I going to coach these guys? So we helped him go deep into his life. We helped him see that he's somebody who's gone through some crazy adversity. And we saw that adversity helped him help members of his family deal with unbelievable trauma, help friends deal with unbelievable trauma, and helped him do phenomenally well in his job. So I said, look, you're the dude who's front side focused, mission driven. That's the words we got out of this. So you're going to go approach these guys. You're going to put a program together and you're going to say, I'm going to help you take what you learned as a SEAL, as a Raider, as a Delta Force operator, bring that into the world of business, front side focus, and that's how you're going to go win. So he made these people believe that he was the guy to teach them how to take those skills, transfer them into the world of business, and go kick some butt. And buddy, he has done extremely well with this for himself and for the people he served. Now, why is this relevant? Because at one point, he started to go on podcasts, Jay. And Jay, unlike you and I, he doesn't have big energy. I know it's a shocker. You think everybody's like us, but it's not true. Not everybody is. He's a quiet, soft-spoken guy, but he speaks precisely. He speaks with a lot of authority. He knows his facts. And I showed him how to do what he has to do in order to develop a strong relationship with the host and the audience. Jay, most people go on shows. Here's what they want to do, okay? They want to have a great conversation. They want to have some more followers and likes. Jay, I never go on a show for those reasons. Those are good reasons. But the reason I go on a show is first and foremost, people in the last 5 years, Jay, they've gone through heck and come back, right? They're looking to be inspired. They're looking for someone to give them hope. So I go on shows to bring the Nicky Billou energy and give people inspiration and hope, hopefully give them some ideas that they're going to love and be able to bring in their life. So I want to inspire the audience. 2, Jay, you're spending time, energy, money to put this show together. You got a producer you pay. You've got equipment you've paid for. You're taking a big risk when you bring someone like me on. I want that risk to pay off for you in spades. My goal at the end of this show is for you to say to your producer, Scott, dang, that's the best darn guest we ever had. We got to have him back. That's my second goal, is I want you to look good because you had me on the show. Now, the third reason I'm on the show, and this is very important, pay attention, folks, write this one down. I'm on the show because I'm looking to build a relationship with you, the host, and with your audience. But you're the stand-in because, Jay, you're a business owner. You're someone who's a thought leader. You're an authority. You run events. Jay, I'm in the business of finding stages to speak on, virtual stages like podcasts and actual stages like events. I'm in the business of working with amazing folks like you to see if I can support them in the work that I do, because that's what I do. I help thought leaders. How am I going to do this? Well, I got to meet some of these people. I got to get to know them. I got to get to like them. I got to get to trust them. And I got to have the same thing happen. When I go on a show, these 3 intentions are top of mind for me. I'm here ready to go game on and make sure that by the end of our time together, all 3 of these have happened, and they've happened in a big and beautiful way. Now, if someone is an investor and is someone looking to raise private money, that's what you want to do when you want to go on a show. If you're going on a show, your objective is you got to inspire the audience. You don't need to have big energy like me, and I'll tell you some stories of people without big energy that'll knock your socks off, but you do need to have a passion to make a difference and inspire. Secondly, you got to do a good job for the host. You got to go, I want this host happy they brought me. And thirdly, you want to tell your story in such a way that the host is going to go, oh my God, this guy is great. I am interested in a relationship beyond the podcast. And you got to set yourself up to have that conversation with that host. So you and I, we know each other. You've been on my show. We've had a conversation before this. One of the things that I wanted to make sure happened today is that I bring tons of value to your audience, tons of value to you personally. And I want to make sure that at the end of this, we spend 5 minutes doing a quick debrief and we spend some time talking about, what else is going on in your world and what else is going on in my world. And I pay close attention to some things that you want to make sure happen in your world. And I look to see how I can serve in order to make that happen. When those conversations continue because of the relationship we built, boom. Jay, I've been a guest, like I told your producer, Scott, on 850 podcasts since May 2022. That's a lot of podcasts. I have developed relationships with the vast majority of those hosts. Jay, that's over 850 people that I've developed a relationship because I had a conversation from the heart, my heart to your heart. And that's how it happens on every show. And if you're an investor, if you're someone in real estate looking to raise private money, How are you going to raise that money? You need new relationships with great people who know, like, and trust you. And once you do that, you can raise money. If this year you go on 2 shows a week for 50 weeks, that's an hour, 30-minute show of the right shows. And that's very important. Boom. That's 100 new potential relationships. That's 100 new potential investors. And through the audiences that listen to them, that number is magnified exponentially.
I love it. I love it. You're bringing the heat, Nicky. You're bringing the heat. Now, I want us to move on over to your book story. Oh, my lands, have you got a book story? You've written 11 books. I don't know, it might be more than that by now, but last I heard, it was 11 books. And that includes 2 New York Times bestsellers. So with that and that experience, what advice would you give to the question of how can a real estate investor use their own story? And I definitely believe people have got multiple stories. And they need to leverage those stories, even if they're not writing a book, to build credibility with private lenders.
Okay, great. So you know what? I'm going to do that by demonstrating one of the stories I tell about myself. So Jay, you mentioned at the beginning of the show that I'm an immigrant from the Middle East, and that's correct. I'm actually a Christian from Iran. Now, when I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran, and there were literal gun battles in the streets near my home. My mom and dad were freaking out. That's a technical term, by the way, a technical business term. And that freak out factor went up 1,000-fold when one day there was a crash through our living room window, and this object sailed and landed next to my feet. Now, I'm a kid. I don't know what it is. It's a bottle. It's full of some sort of liquid. There's like this cloth wick in it, and it's burning. It was a Molotov cocktail. My dad instantly knew what it was, grabbed it, pulled out that wick, and the bottle didn't explode. That's why you and I are having this conversation. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. And then he turned the bottle around, and there was a note on it, taped to it, that said, "Die, Christian scum." So mom and dad said, "That's it. We're out of here." And they made a plan. They got me and my 2 brothers out of Iran. First, they took us to Europe, to Athens, Greece. And then they took us to where I live now, which is Toronto, Canada. And I'm sure you can appreciate, as a father, doing everything for your children, especially in circumstances like that. But me, I was a kid back then, right? I didn't want to leave my home. I didn't want to leave my friends. I was really upset. But as time went on, Jay, I could see the nobility of my mom and dad's sacrifice. They left behind everything and everyone they knew for a chance at a better life for me and my 2 brothers. And they took us from a legacy of tyranny to a legacy of freedom. I believe, Jay, inside every human breast beats the living heart of freedom. Every man, every woman on this planet yearns to breathe free, to chart their own course, to march to the tune of their own drummer. And if you're an entrepreneur, that's especially true. If you use real estate as your vehicle to grow a fortune, to serve your family, to serve your dreams, that's especially true. Without freedom, there's no free expression. Without free expression, there's no free enterprise. Without free enterprise, you got to rely on a tyrant's goodwill, not on the genius that God Almighty gave and put within you and your heart to allow you to win. And so I became a champion for freedom. I'm a freedom man, and I want to create the largest constituency for free enterprise the world has ever seen. Billion millionaires, Jay. I want to see 1 billion millionaires. That'll be people who are going to stand up for free enterprise and defeat godless socialism so that the birthright that God gave all of us gets to live. And in the United States of America, the very citadel of freedom for humanity, this is important. This is why I want to see more people in America become multimillionaires and billionaires. And what you do, Jay, you use real estate and private money as a way to help people do this. You are part of the vanguard creating those billion millionaires. And for me, why I come on shows like yours, why I run the programs I run, is I want to help make more of those people millionaires and multimillionaires, because that's how we make the world something that we'll be proud to hand over as a legacy to our children, to our grandchildren, and to our great, great grandchildren. Now, you see what I did with that story? I shared with you my background. I told you something that's true and powerful and emotionally evocative. And I tied that to why I, in my heart, feel the way I feel about what I do. And I use that bridge to talk about why I came on your show and why I want to share my message with your people. When I work with people, average, everyday entrepreneurs and investors, like the folks you're talking about, I teach them how to do that, how to create a story like that they can tell in 2 to 5 minutes, depending on how long their podcast is, and use that to instantly create rapport, to instantly create and at least the beginnings of trust with the people that are there, and instantly create the opportunity for them to be able to have a powerful conversation about raising money and doing business.
You are so inspiring, Nicky. Now, you talk about, and these are your words, you talk about the majesty of people's dreams, the majesty of people's dreams. So why do you think so many investors, real estate investors, minimize their dreams when talking to potential private lenders? And how does that hurt their ability to raise private money?
That's a great question, Jay. A lot of us, when we go into business, right, we don't want to be seen as one of those pushy people, those people that are reeking of commission breath before they walk into the room, right? And as a result, we want to come across a particular way. So we're very self-conscious, and we don't fully share our passion. And this is bad. Why is this bad? Because we don't get to do business with people we should be doing business with. It hurts us. But it's also bad because they don't get to do business with us. They don't get their problems, their pain solved by us. And then some charlatan marketer, Jay, who couldn't care less about whether or not they help, but they're really good at pushing the pain points, comes and does business with them. And if that results in a good outcome, it's a happy accident. And the sum total of goodness in the world goes down because those good people, because they didn't really passionately share their why, they don't get the business. That hurts them. That potential investor could have worked with someone good that would have made them money and cared about them, cared about their success. Instead, they get their money ripped off by a charlatan marketer. That hurts them. But it even hurts the charlatan because the devil has gotten into them and has gotten them to do bad things. And what goes around comes around. God makes sure of this. So even they get bit in the you-know-what as a result of their bad actions. So goodness in the world goes down. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your family. You owe it to the legacy you're leaving for the people you love. You owe it to God Almighty to share your passion with all your heart and be there fully. It's not about being pushy. It's about taking a stand for what's good, what's honorable, what's decent, and what's right. And if you do that, and you take the attention off of you and you put the attention on the person in front of you and making sure that you're there to serve them, you won't have those terrible feelings. Oh my God, are they going to like me? Are they going to love me? Are they going to want to do business with me? You're just going to be excited to share what you're doing. And the more you do with that, man, people are just going to come around you because they're going to be excited to see somebody excited. Because most of the people go walking around today, they don't feel so excited. And they love seeing excitement because it wakes up the feeling of greatness within them.
Nicky, as we say here in the South, preach it, brother. Preach it, brother. So if a real estate investor is starting from scratch, right? They're brand new. They're starting from scratch. They got no platform. They got no big audience. What's the very first step they should take to start building authority?
Okay, that's a great question. So there's two things I'd suggest that they do. Okay. One is book yourself on a bunch of podcasts, and there's a platform called Podmatch. And Jay, what I'll do is I'll send a link for Podmatch for you and Scott to have that you can put in your show notes. Podmatch uses an AI algorithm, and for $64 a month, you can get up to 720 shows a month for you to pitch to. It matches shows with guests. Go on Podmatch, get on lots of shows. The more shows you get on, the more you'll be able to practice your message, the better you'll get at this. Okay. And if you don't feel confident about that, I have a bunch of courses showing you how to get booked on shows like Podmatch. I've got a webinar I do on that. I got a 2-day course on how to design your talk when you're on a show so it flows good. Reach out to me. Happy to help you out. I also wrote a book about it called Get Booked and Get Paid, available on Amazon. Go pick it up. That's what I'd say you should start out with. Start getting out there and practicing doing what you do. Now, if your message is really, really not where you want it to be, you need some help, jump on my calendar. I've got programs to show you how to dial in your message and how to feel super confident when you go on shows. That's what I think you ought to do. And I got to tell you, Jay, like you, I believe very strongly in coaching and mentorship. The great Robin Sharma, the author of the legendary book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, which sold 15 million copies, was a client of mine when I was a fitness trainer. And one day when I was training him, I said, so Robin, man, tell me, how can I double my income this year? You know what he said to me, Jay? It blew me away. I'll remember this till the day I pass on and the good Lord takes me home. He said to me, if you want to double your income in any given year, triple your investment in personal and professional development. That means hire more and better coaches. That means join more and better masterminds. That means attend more and better conferences. That means buy and read more books. If you spent $10,000 last year on your personal and professional development, next year spend $30,000. And then the year after that, spend $90,000. And then year after year, you'll double your income. So if you're making 6 figures this year, you'll make double that, 2x to 6 figures. So you're making 100 grand, you'll make 200 grand. If you do that 3 years in a row, boom, you'll go from 100 grand to 200 grand to 400 grand to 800 grand. And all it takes is that you invest more in yourself. The good Lord has decreed that you are the greatest creation in your world. You are the most important asset in your world. Invest in you. Spend money on making you better. The great Jim Rohn said, if you want to make more money, don't wish things were easier. Wish you were better. Wish you were better. And how do you get better? You invest in you. You read, you learn, you listen, you work on you.
Nicky, hold up that book one more moment that you just showed everybody. The book is, you can pick it up at Amazon, Get Booked and Get Paid. I ordered that book a couple of months ago. It's fantastic. It's it's an easy read, but don't minimize the value. It's got very, very powerful, actionable things to do to get yourself booked on podcasts and get that authority going. Nicky, wow. I'm telling you, this was solid. You have talked a lot about credibility, getting authority, getting people to trust you very, very quickly. And you talked about all those resources that you have in addition to that book. What's the best way for people to learn about those resources you have and to connect with you?
So my main website is called ecircleacademy.com. So go there and it's got all of that there. You can go there to book an appointment and get on my calendar if you need additional help over and above these resources. Like if you need some coaching, some mentorship, you want to do a program to get this stuff taught to you in a concentrated fashion, go to ecircleacademy.com/appointment. Now, I also have some books that are downloadable on that website as well. There's ecircleacademy.com/TLJ book. And go check all that out. I put out a lot of content. I've got 2 podcasts that I host. Go check those out. And I've also been a guest on 850 shows. So you can go on a variety of different podcasting platforms. Type in my name. I'm the only Nicky Billou on the planet. And you can go download that stuff to your heart's content. And oh yeah, I also do speaking on stages. That's my speaker website, nickybillou.com. Those are all the places you can find out about Nicky Billou.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nicky, for inspiring myself, inspiring the audience, and all of these, of course, websites will be in the show notes. So for all of y'all that are listening, remember, private money does not go to the smartest investor. It goes to the most prepared investor, the most consistent, the most trustworthy, and the one with the authority. So take what you've heard today from Nicky, start applying it today, not when you feel like you're ready. So if you got value from this episode, share it with another real estate investor who needs to hear it, and make sure you subscribe to this show. Be sure and follow so you don't miss out on the next episode. This is Raising Private Money. I'm Jay Conner, the Private Money Authority, and I'll see you right here on the next episode of Raising Private Money.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/moneyguide. That's jconner.com/moneyguide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.